for joining this personal finance session. My name is Erin Moore. I'm the Education Program Manager at OnPoint Community Credit Union, and I'm pleased to be with you. So where do we start? Imagine you've just received an offer for a new job. Congratulations. This can be a time of excitement and anticipation. You might be wondering about your new responsibilities or what your coworkers will be like. And I imagine you're excited at the thought of receiving that first paycheck. Today, we'll cover tips to help you make the most of your earnings and understand some of the financial side to your new job as well. Don't worry, this information is meant to be helpful no matter where you're at in your career journey. Here are the session goals. We'll work on understanding how to complete the W-4 form, reviewing your pay stub, and I'll share a few finance tips to keep in mind as you work on setting goals and making important decisions about how to spend your earnings. Let's dive in. When you go to work for a business, your new employer will ask you to fill out Form W-4, which is shown here on the screen. It's required by the US government, and it tells your employer how much money to withhold from your paycheck for federal income taxes. Each time you get paid, your employer takes out a calculated amount of money from your paycheck. And this money is sent to the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, and goes towards your federal taxes. Because the United States has a pay-as-you-go tax system, you pay your income taxes throughout the year, and this is coordinated in most cases by your employer. Now, because we've just said that your employer will be deducting amounts of money from your paycheck, this is why the amount you receive in pay may look different than what you expect. For example, if you're paid $10 an hour and you work 20 hours during the pay period, you might expect a check for $200, which is the total amount you've earned. We call that gross pay. Now keep in mind what I just said about the fact that your employer is required to withhold some types of deductions. This results in the check you're receiving being slightly less. We call this your net pay. It's going to be less after your employer withholds taxes and other possible deductions. So I've just used a few terms I want to call your attention to: deductions, gross, and net pay. You might be wondering how you'll keep track of these terms and your paycheck. One of the tools you have at your disposal is your pay stub, a great resource to help you understand what's happening with your pay. A pay stub is a record of the money you've earned over a certain time period and shows any amounts removed for taxes or deductions like health benefits, retirement accounts, and other employment programs that you participate in. Let's take a look at the sample pay stub here on the screen. You'll notice it includes details like your name and address, the time period you're being paid for, your rate of pay, and the hours you've worked. It's important to examine your pay stub carefully each time you're paid. Sometimes errors can happen, and if you spot something that looks inaccurate, it's important to notify your manager as soon as possible. That way, the amount you're paid can be corrected, as well as any tax responsibilities. Here's another thing to consider about taxes. You might want to consider filing them every year. Now, not everyone is required to file taxes, especially if you're working part-time or you haven't earned much from your job in a year. But if your employer withheld money from your paycheck for taxes, you might be owed a refund. You can't get a tax refund if you don't file a tax return. This is a great topic to talk about with a parent, guardian, or trusted adult who can help you make the right decision for you. So let's take a look. Anything else on this pay stub that we need to define? One thing that comes to mind is a term shown here that says YTD. It stands for year to date and helps show the total amounts in each category for your earnings in a calendar year. So now that you've got your paycheck, what are you going to do with your earnings? Is it time to spend? Maybe save towards a goal. Deciding what you do with the money you earn is a personal choice, but a good place to start is to deposit it safely with your bank or credit union. Why? Depositing the funds with a financial institution keeps your money safe, makes it easier to track and manage what you have, and it allows you to build a relationship with a financial institution, which might help you in meeting your goals later on. As a young worker, you might earn money by doing things like babysitting, mowing lawns, or other jobs that are typically paid with cash. And that's okay, but cash can be hard to keep track of. It's tempting to spend, and once it's lost, it can't be recovered. So consider depositing your funds safely with a financial institution. If you don't already have a bank account, there are some things to keep in mind. So be sure to do research about what type of financial institution is right for you, and keep in mind that you shouldn't have to pay a fee for a bank account. If you're under 18, it's also likely that you'll need a parent or guardian to be on the account with you. So this is another important conversation for your family or support system. I recommend having 2 bank accounts, a checking account for the money you plan to spend, and a savings account to set aside the money that you'll use to build towards your future goals. Separating your money is an important consideration because money that is meant to be saved tends to disappear when it's mixed in with the money you're spending. Well, what are you saving for? Identifying a few goals to keep in mind will help you build a good savings habit. Perhaps college or trade school is in your future. Maybe you're saving to buy a car or get your own apartment. While you might not be able to put away much in savings initially, putting aside those funds each time you are paid or receive a gift or any type of money will help you create a savings mindset. And that's easier to do now when you're young, when ideally your financial responsibilities are less complicated. Even so, you'll need to have a plan for the money you're earning. A budget. A budget is a plan for the money you have, how you'll spend it, and how you'll use it to help you meet your goals. There are many different theories and philosophies about how to create a budget. Ultimately, the most important budget is one that you understand and feel good about, and one that you can keep working with. Here on the screen, I'm showing 5 elements of a successful budget. Number 1, a budget should include your income. What money do you have available to you that you're making a plan for? It could be earnings from a job, allowance, gifts. You decide what money you want to use to make a plan, but the more inclusive you can be, the better. Next, you'll want to calculate your expenses. What are you responsible to pay for? It could be clothes, gas, bus fare, cell phone. It really depends on your particular situation, but be sure to make a list that includes everything. Now, a budget wouldn't be complete if you weren't also thinking about your goals and whether or not you need to save money to meet them. Like I've said before, if you start the habit of saving money now, it'll stick with you. Ideally, you'd save half of the money you earn, but you'll need to choose the amount that's right for you, depending on your responsibilities and your goals. The next important step to a budget is to plan for the fun stuff. That's right. I said plan for fun. A budget should include a plan for how you'll spend money on things you enjoy, a hobby, food or activities with friends. Having this built into your budget will help you avoid overspending and still enjoy the rewards that you've been working so hard for. A good rule of thumb is to set aside 30% of your earnings for these wants. Finally, no budget is complete or successful unless you check how you're doing. When you use a bank account, you can spend money with your debit card and track your spending with your financial institution's online banking app. There are also lots of other methods to check your budget, including many free apps that will help you track spending. Some of the most popular include Mint, Wally, FamZoo, and Acorns. You might ask your friends or family for a recommendation of an app they enjoy using, and don't be discouraged if the first one you try doesn't work for you. There are lots of options. And again, the most successful budget is one that feels right and works for you. So you've earned a paycheck, you have a plan for that money, it's your budget. What else is there to consider? Make the most of the time you have. If you ask older people what their biggest financial regret is, many will tell you they wish they had started learning more about money much earlier than they did, because doing that can help you as things get more complicated when you get older. Starting now will give you time to learn and build your money skills. Money that you put into savings or investments has the potential to earn compound interest. Essentially, you earn money, and the money that you've saved then goes on to earn more money for you. Let's take a look at an example. Now, you probably aren't making a ton of money right now, but it doesn't matter. What matters is time, and your money has a lot of time. Let's say, for example, that you put aside $40 every month. At the end of a year, you'll have saved $480. If you're able to invest it, you could get a rate of return, let's say in this example, 6% interest compounded monthly. At the end of 40 years of saving, your account balance will be nearly $80,000. Even though the amount of money that you put in is actually only $19,200. That's the power of compound interest. Your money saved over time will grow exponentially. Now, we've covered a lot of different points in our session today, and you might not be ready to start using them all at once, and that's okay. If you have questions or would like additional information or the resources that I used to create our presentation today, please visit us at the OnPoint virtual booth during the expo. OnPoint is also pleased to offer resources on our website, which is onpointcu.com. This includes videos, articles, and even courses that you can take yourself or share with your friends and family to continue the conversation. And finally, please don't hesitate to contact us at financial.education@onpointcu.com. Thanks for your time and best wishes in your career search and journey.